Often group work can actually be very challenging as well, because it's about taking turns of speaking. It's about deciding who's going to be scribe, who's going to be our researcher, and so on, who's going to feed back to the group. So you still have those roles to think about, there's still those considerations.
I think they think as well, they're like, yes, learning journal, nothing in their books. Do you know, they get quite excited because I think there's, in the books we're like, right, it needs to be really neat, it needs to be this, it needs to be that. When you say you can write with a felt tip pen, they're like, oh, great, like all of a sudden they're so much more keen to do it than if you said, right, take your pencil, write it in your book. They just feel a bit freer, I think, with the learning journals.
But if it's maths and you've got some children that are way ahead, they're the children that you might ordinarily say, right, you go be a teacher and go help this other student, work with them, because being able to use what they've learned and apply it with someone else shows a thorough understanding. But you can do the same with the learning journal. Okay, what have we done this topic? You know, I want you to document it down in this is yours. So I sometimes even use it as a class exercise book. So you go ahead, if they're, you know, you put what you think needs to be in there, what have you learned, what do you think is most relevant, and then it's theirs then.
Year 6 I would expect to be doing the learning journal themselves without much teacher input at all, because you just have it on the desk, and if it's not a teacher-led activity, they're quite able to just sit and write and scribe for themselves, obviously. So as you go higher up the school, then the learning journals do get a bit more independent, which when I was in year 6 last year, it was a bit stressful for me because I'm a bit OCD, like everything really neat and everything, and then they're all writing and I'm like, oh, the date's not at the top of the page, the date's at the bottom of the page, and it stressed me out a bit, but they take ownership of it, which is quite nice.
Some lessons might be, whole class don't do any writing, and instead you're practical, you're outside, or you have resources made, or they create their own, and sometimes they almost decide their own learning themselves. Think, right, okay, around this subject, what would you like to do, what would you like to find out, go research it, bring it back to the group. You can take photos of them feeding back, giving presentations, that's your speaking and listening. Put a photo in, they can put a couple of bullet points about what they did, and there you are, which is much better than, let's say, in the book, just writing it out, which is dry, which doesn't engage them, and even for yourself, then you don't feel like they've taken as much from it.
For the younger children, a lot of work comes from discussion. So if you create a mind map on your interactive whiteboard, you can just print that off and stick it in there, and it tells you straight away that you've had that discussion with the children. You haven't just talked to them, they've come up with all those different ideas. And then the children are like, can I write that mine was that idea, miss? And they get quite excited. They like having the ownership of the learning journal.
You might still have group work where, like here, you're for and against. You're making a balanced argument. You group work together. They note down their facts in a pair or a group. And then you just take an example, put it in the floor book, and then have one or two children write about reflecting on what we did. If
you do a discussion and you do hands up, then you only get to inevitably hear a few responses at a time, whereas this, everyone's ideas can go in it. And at parents' evening, they're like, Mum, look, when I did this, I remember it was me that wrote about this, and they're showing, you know, the parents when they wrote in the learning journal, which is quite nice. I think with the younger children, you can give them a prompt that they can then write in the learning journal, whereas for the younger children, you tend to write it yourself, and for the year 6s, you just say, right, your learning journal activity today. So it's kind of like a progression of you writing it for them, you saying, can you write something about this? And then, right, children, there you go.